The following is a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.
Welcome back to K4Wins. He is Kai Gregory. He's been working both sides of this ledger. Would you say because let's be honest with you, you've taken bets in your life. A lot of people know that. Let's just be honest. And now, of course, it's legal in most of the United States of America, so it's no big deal. But would you say that you've taken more bets or made more bets in your life?
Oh my God, I've taken way more. I think I placed my first bet when I was like 14 in high school at Jefferson Christian Academy. Shout out to that. But and it was literally during the NCAA March Madness because we had things. But my first illegal bet with a bookie, I was probably a senior in high school. Took my first one. I started doing it when I was in college for my fraternity. So it's been a long time.
I was in Louisville, Kentucky, and the girl I was dating, her name was Tanya Tate. Her dad knew a guy that did this, and of course, I lost the first 3 weeks I played. Normally, you win because you think, well, I can supplement my income by doing this. Usually, you don't lose, but I lost, and I kept playing. Then the fourth week, I won. I won it all back, and I couldn't get the guy to pay me. And Tanya's father's name was Tommy. And Tommy called me up. He said, "Hey, Tony," he said, "You want to come over and have dinner tonight?" I said, "Sure." And he goes, "Hey, did you ever get that money from Ronnie?" I said, "No." And he goes, "Geez, strange thing happened last night." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "His house burnt down." I said, "Really?" And of course, I did not put two and two together. I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Well, bad things happen to bad people, I guess." He goes, "Yeah, they sure do. They sure do." And I was like, "Wow." And he said, "You're probably not going to get your money, but at least he got his." So I was like, "Wow." Gone are the leg breaking days, which is fine with me. All right, so we're gonna have Case Kiefer. He's gonna join us later this week. Of course, he's live from Las Vegas. Talk about a busy bird. He's got it going on. Of course, also Kip Kiefer, who joins the show here. You can see him on the starting lineup on television. He'll join the show coming up on Friday as well. So we'll have all four of us. But in the meantime, we got the two brains right now. We'll take care of some business and get it after on K4Wins. K4Wins.com. Bracket out. For some reason, it looks a lot smaller this year than it normally is. I think it's just because our eyes are getting older, my friend. But what stuck out to you on this particular bracket? There's been wall-to-wall bracket TV since Sunday night. It's a wonderful time of the year. What you got?
I love two of the opening round games. Seeing Wednesday SMU and Miami of Ohio, I like that matchup. I've been on, as you know, we've talked all year on UMBC, Maryland, Baltimore. They're playing today versus Howard. And I absolutely love the NC State Texas game. I think we've got four really good opening round games. And it's funny because Miami of Ohio, who was undefeated until their tournament, is actually the biggest dog of all of the last four or the play-in games. And so it's pretty interesting. I think we got some great first round matchups.
That doesn't surprise you. I will say this. I was surprised it was that high. I thought maybe it'd be 4.5, 5. I didn't think it was going to be 8.5. But yeah, and a lot of people were like, well, there you go. And of course, Miami, Ohio was the last team to get in. Auburn was the second to the last two teams not to get in there. A lot of people were saying it was going to be 1-for-1 there, but it actually wasn't. So,
and I got to wait for that game tomorrow to see if DJ Edwards is going to play for SMU, how healthy he really is looking at it. I mean, Ken Palm, SMU is 43, Miami, Ohio is 93, but adjusted with strength of schedule, defensive and offensive rating, SMU is 144, and Miami of Ohio, what would you guess their adjusted Ken Palm ranking is out of 366 Division I teams?
Miami of Ohio, Ken Palm, adjusted. I want to say it was like in the 90s. Was it 90s, 100, something like that?
361 is adjusted with strength of schedule and offensive and defensive rating.
Wow. Okay. Well,
which tells you. That being said, I like Miami of Ohio plus 8.5.
Yeah. You know what? And it's weird because again, they won 31 games. That should be worth something. And I know that was one of the great arguments going into this, great debates. And I know that people
total of 164 in that game, and that game, and there's a couple of others that I kind of feel like first 1 to 90 wins. That High Point Wisconsin game, same thing. You've got two pretty good offensive teams that don't play great defense. although Wisconsin's ranking is like 22nd adjusted in defense. High Point's ranking is 319, but they shoot a ton of threes. They average 90 points a game. They've been averaging 17 threes a game their last 10 games.
Wow. Yeah, I want to get back to that Miami game too, real quick. I would love to be the coach in that particular situation because it is them against the world, right? We're not supposed to be here. Let's prove to them. All I gotta say is look at the guys. Let's prove to them that we belong in this tournament, and we see that every year. There's always one of those playing games where a team will get to the at least 32 or maybe the Sweet 16. We have had a double-digit seed make it to the Sweet 16 in 4 of the last 9 tournaments. So for the last 9 tournaments, a double-digit seed has gotten to the Sweet 16, so it will happen.
But how many made it last year?
Last year we had 0, I believe, because all 4,
right.
and that was the first time. And it's funny. And I was going to throw this question out to you. Better shot of happening: a double-digit seed making it to a Final Four, or all 4 ones make it to the Final Four again. They did it last year, and that's really rare. It doesn't normally happen. So to have all 4 Final Four, all 4 one teams, pardon me, make it to the Final Four would be amazing, despite the fact they have the 4 number 1 4 seeds. But what's your thoughts there?
I'm going back through and looking at the double-digit seeds right now and seeing who I think has a chance to. Did you say make it to the Sweet 16 or the Final Four?
Let's go to Final Four, because we've seen that happen too. And I said Sweet 16. I believe it's 4 of the last 9 tournaments. A double-digit seed's gotten to a Final Four. I believe it is.
I only see so far on the right side of the bracket. I've got 1 double-digit seed that has a chance to the Sweet 16. On the left side of the bracket, South Florida, I think, could have a chance. They'll have to beat Michigan State in the second round. But
let me tell you something about South Florida now. I went down to the BJCC, which, by the way, is just a beautiful, wonderful venue since they redid the place. Their prices are absolutely outrageous. They gouged the hell out of it. I got a popcorn, a pretzel, and 2 medium drinks, and it was $29. And I said, this is effing ridiculous. I told my son, I said, we're stopping McDonald's. I said, I am not. I said, I love you, but I'm not buying a $8 hot dog. It ain't happening. The BJCC will gouge you. But anyway, we got a pair of tickets for $32, and then we got in tickets for the 2 games on Saturday. Funny thing is, if you got tickets for Saturday, you got into the women's championship game for free. And I was like, wait a minute. Weren't you selling the women's championship tickets for like $35 like an hour ago? And then they started giving out free tickets to the women's championship. I don't know how that makes the women feel, but free tickets to the AAC championship game at the BJCC if you went to one of those earlier games to the men's tournament. They're like, ladies, I'm sorry, but
they were hoping that more people than just the cheerleader and basketball players' parents would show up.
So, yeah, and they didn't. And you were right. On television, you were like, hey, by the way, before I forget too, we did the show on Friday, and you had one of the biggest plays of your life on Purdue, and you're like, I don't care if it's 6, 10, whatever it is, play it. Purdue blew them out, whoever they were playing on Friday night. So kudos to you. You nailed that. So, yeah, but I got a chance to check out all the teams. North Texas was pretty impressive. UAB obviously not. But South Florida, they've won 11 games in a row. The Bulls are a pretty good basketball team. They can certainly jack it up from 3. I was really surprised how well their defense played, particularly in the second half. And that is that 11 seed matchup. That's always kind of interesting. Everyone talks about that 12-5. The 11-6 is about the same as 2. So watch out for that 11-6 and watch out for the Bulls' possible Sweet 16 team. I'm just saying, if they get hot, they got a great guard named Giles, who is not afraid to jack it up from wherever he is. And I'm talking like 30 seconds left on the play clock. He's jacking it up right at the beginning of the ball game. This kid's unbelievable. He shoots just under 50%, but most of his shots are from three-point line. I think he was 8 of 10 or 8 of 12 against UAB the other night. So that kid's pretty good. But watch out for the Bulls. They're a good team.
Well, if Mikael Brown Jr. for Louisville, he's questionable right now. If he's not back, if he's not playing, I really like South Florida. And the fact that I'm catching 6 is just a bonus there, because
that's gonna be a game where a lot of the public's gonna be on Louisville, just because
absolutely.
Louisville and
Louisville's not been playing well.
Yeah.
And so the thing to do is to wait a little bit longer. Maybe don't jump on it now. I don't think South Florida is going to get money, and I don't think it's going to come down below 5. I think it's the last time I saw it was 5.5. I think it's going to be 6, 6.5, 7 at game time, and You got to go. You got to go with the dogs if you really want to make money. Just like I can tell you, if you had been betting just dogs during the tournaments, during the conference championship tournaments, whether you just took the points or whether you bet money line. If you bet money line, you'd be up a lot of money after last week.
Yeah.
Trust me, because I saw people doing it. And if you took just the dogs, just took the points every game, you would have won way more than you lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going to be the same in the NCAA tournament. There are some games that I'm looking at that I'm just like, wait a minute. With some of the higher seeds, I don't like it. Like the Purdue game, the way that matchup is for them, I really I'm liking more and more Queens plus the 25.5. Their adjusted rankings with schedule and everything, they're top 75 in offense and defense adjusted rankings, and they like to put it up. And there's just something about Purdue. Last time they won the Big Ten championship, by the way, they were a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament and proceeded to lose to Farley Dickinson.
Yeah.
Who was a 25.5 point dog.
The Royals out of Charlotte, North Carolina. A lot of people think they think of Queens, they think of New York, but it's actually out of Charlotte, North Carolina, a team that can really jack it up. And one of those teams that could probably make some interesting. Hey, I want to get around to the SEC real quick. Arkansas, they win the tournament. I cannot believe that Calipari is taking his 7th team or the 7th time to a big dance. And listen, you can say whatever you want about him. I don't like him as a coach, but obviously he does something well because he just won another SEC championship with Arkansas. But the one thing I think everyone kept bringing up was the fact that the conference tournaments don't seem to mean anything when it comes to seeding. Are you okay with that? Obviously, you're talking about a 3 or 4 game stretch when you've played 30 something games before. So it's just a 3 game stretch, but it is against the best of your conference. Do you have a problem with the fact that maybe 90% of the teams that came in with one seeding number had not changed at all, regardless of how they did in their tournament, with the exception of, say, Alabama, who lost 1 seed spot?
I don't know. That's going to be an interesting to talk because I'm going to be interested to see if Nate Oates actually, does anything about Holloway. Although I did see the report last night that I think he's been removed from campus.
He has been. He's been, as of about an hour ago. He is no longer on the team, and he is gone. A pound of smoke and some cash will do that for you.
Guarantee you, they didn't leave that up to Oates though. Because Oates, in my opinion, Nate Oates probably would have played him and just made an excuse.
No, he'd want the process to play out first, and then let him play. And maybe that's what Holloway was thinking too. If I get nailed for it, what are they going to do? Kick me out the team right before the term? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but if you got a pound of pot, come on. I don't know what can play out there.
Seriously, a pound of pot now though is not like a pound of pot like 10 years ago. A pound of pot's like
pound. It'd be different if you had a quarterback, a dime.
It's you know what it is. It's distribution. Now if the guy is Snoop Dogg and can smoke a pound in a week, then I'm saying, hey, leave him alone. But if the guy's not a Snoop Dogg smoker, then he's distributing, and if he's distributing, that takes it up a notch. So,
but why are you so stupid? Your NIL package is $1 million a year. Are you really going to make that much more?
Do you know how many former NFL players who are making millions of dollars every single year are selling weed right now? It is incredible.
That's beside the point, and I can't help it if you can't manage your money.
Yeah.
Sorry, but that's ridiculous to go, hey, you know what? I'm making $1 million a year. I'm going to go buy some grass and see if I can make an extra 10,000 this week. Really?
Well, they can keep up their habit and make a living doing it. That's the way they look at it. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you like beef, you're going to sell the cow and you can eat it too.
I kind of like Hawaii to backdoor jumping back in that plus 15, even though I think Arkansas is better all the way around. I just don't know how they're going to be after their 3 games and all that. Don't get me wrong, because why does Calipari win? Why is he on the 17? Well, think about the teams he's had, including UMass when he had the Player of the Year there. Kentucky, he had Player of the Year a few times, at least SEC. This year, Darius Acuff, he's got SEC Player of the Year. So that doesn't hurt when you got somebody like Acuff, who, just for the record, was freaking incredible in this
No, and
tournament.
we've been watching him all. We've been talking about him all year long. One of the best point guards in the SEC, and we brought it up before the SEC basketball tournament. Look out for Arkansas because of ACAP. I kept thinking because I've got a lot of friends of mine. I lived in Kentucky, in Louisville for about 3 years, and it's just so strange because you cannot find a Louisville fan to save your life up there. Even in downtown Louisville, Kentucky, they're Kentucky fans. It's amazing. It's like 80-20 Kentucky fans, but Kentucky fans are they don't really care about Calipari, but they're kind of pissed.
Oh yeah,
You know,
they're all
I
ready
mean,
to see Pope leave.
I mean,
But when you spend 22 million on your basketball team and you can't win 2 games in the SEC tournament, what are you going to do? I don't like Kentucky. I don't like their draw in the NCAA tournament either, because just looking at it, I will tell you. I don't know what their seeding is. I'm
Kentucky's 7 seed. They got Santa Clara there out of the Midwest.
Oh yeah, I got Santa Clara in that game.
And then they have Iowa State or Tennessee State. They're more likely Iowa State, which is going to be a tough matchup for them, big time.
Yeah, well, I like VCU, and then unfortunately, the way Iowa State's been playing is not great to me. I think Iowa State will win, but I can see VCU sliding in that as well into the Sweet 16. And a lot of these, though, when you talk about these lower seeds, people have to understand when you're talking about that, there's also just as good a chance they could lose their first game. And probably a better chance of losing their first game is getting to the Sweet 16. I really just like those situations where that underdog wins that first game. I really like them in their second game, unless it happens something like a 12 wins and they're playing a 13 instead of a 7.
Yeah.
Then I like the lower seeded team. I don't know why. It's just the way the NCAA tournament goes.
It's crazy time, man. You got the Auburn Tigers playing some hoops today, believe it or not, in the NIT. They're obviously one of us, so 1 seed. They're playing South Alabama. They're getting up 16 and a half a little bit later on tonight at 9 o'clock here on St. Patty's Day. So keep that in mind. We also have Texas, NC State, Stephen F. Austin. Really, the NIT is really good this year. I mean, I'm just telling you from a basketball standpoint. You have a pair of 28 win teams. Stephen Austin's Tulsa's 20. Tulsa's another one of those teams. The Golden Hurricane. By the way, the strangest looking. It looks like a giant turd, like one of those whippy dip turds. The mascot for Tulsa is the strangest looking thing. It's scary looking, but they're fantastic. You got Wyoming, Wichita State, another team that I saw this past weekend. The Shockers, by the way, a heads up to Berg, the 7'2", sixth man of the year out of the AAC. I got a picture here. I got a picture of this. You're gonna love this. There is a picture of Berg with my son. Slightly. My son is not short. Okay, he's about 5'9", but that's Berg, all 7'2" of him. He was sitting right behind us. I was like, Berg. Berg did a nice job, despite the fact they did not win the tournament. But they're also in there. So some really interesting. Normally, I would not look at the NIT. But yeah, some really good games. Stephen of Austin Tulsa game, I think, is going to be fantastic. I think Texas NC State could be a fantastic game if you're wanting to wet your whistle before the playing games come up. Auburn, South Alabama, St. Thomas, and Seattle. And then UNLV and UC Irvine a little bit later on tonight. So games, if you want to get some plays up, K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. You do not need to wait till Thursday, the playing games, to start letting it fly, because we'll have some great plays. By the way, what was our record last week? What did we do last week?
We were 0-1 yesterday, so we only had one play up. No college basketball. We did not play much. We went with an NBA game, which we hate, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Went 0-1, 25-17 last week. We've talked about last month quite a bit. February's a good month, 91 and 38, so 70%. Year to date, 264 and 150, sitting at 63.7%. And since we started this puppy back in 24, we are 63.2%, 1,867 wins, 1,086 losses. So, pretty good, being up just under 800 games above 500.
That's pretty good. Not too bad.
Suck.
Hey, and I know we're all over the road because we got so many different things going on, but I do want to get back to this Aiden Holloway situation. A lot of people would go, what's the big deal? The big deal is a 16.8 points per ball game and a 48% shooting percentage from field goal. This guy was the real deal, and he is a major part of why Alabama was as successful as they were and only lost 8 games all along. How does that play in to not only their seeding, but also into how far you think Alabama's going to go? Because Alabama fans will go, they're deep, they're good. He'll know what to do. You're losing 17 points a ball game here. That is a huge shock, and certainly with the Vidako situation, how that played out a couple of weeks ago, he's not going to be part of your team as well. But how does that play out for Alabama and Hofstra, which is a very interesting line, by the way, as well?
I got Hofstra the other yesterday at 15. I haven't seen it today, but I will tell you that I think what's going to happen is I think Alabama's probably going to still be okay and win. I don't know if they'll cover, but I actually had, before any of this came out, I had Akron going to the Sweet 16. I've got them beating Texas Tech and Alabama.
I'm sorry, one more time.
I have these zips. I have Akron beating Texas Tech and Alabama, and in the Sweet 16.
Okay. And I'm sitting here looking at some of the early lines, and I absolutely love some of these lines. You know what I think we're going to do? Because there's so many different games, and I know there's so many different brackets. Let's just go through. Let's go through Friday games, and of course the first round coming up. That will actually be on Thursday.
We got some play-ins today. Howard at UMBC. We talked about North Carolina State, Texas, like you talked about. Tomorrow you got Lehigh and Prairie View.
You got Texas, NC State. Yeah, Texas and NC State.
A lot of people are all over Lehigh in this game, and Ken Palm 284 versus 288, but adjusted schedule, Lehigh is 199 and Prairie View is 23. When you put in offensive and defensive rankings that really kind of mess some things up. So I'm still looking at that again because I was all over Lehigh with the way they've been playing, but Prairie View's been playing pretty well as well. So that's a game we've got to sit back and look. 3.5 points. I don't know. I think that's a one.
And for you people out there like, what is he talking about? Kai has been like, you're a Ken Palm guy. I mean, you've been on Merrimack, you've been on some of these teams, and man, I don't care how you make the cash. I'll make it on anything. I'll make it on High Point, and you've done really, really well at finding out some of those teams. So kudos to you for getting that done.
It's important when you look at Ken Palm that you've got to look at adjusted tempos, and you've got to look at a team and see how many threes they shoot and how many of their points come to the three-point line and how many points come in the paint and what the other team does. I mean, for instance, everybody raves about my Tennessee Volunteers and how great an offensive rebounding team they are. They're also 177th in field goal percentage in the lane. So there's one of the reasons why they get so many offensive rebounds, because they miss so many damn shots in the lane. When they lost to Vandy, they missed 18 shots from inside of 3 feet.
That's
18
crazy.
shots inside 3 feet.
Yeah, they get the winner of that SMU Miami Ohio game, which should be kind of interesting. What do you think, Tennessee? Let's say Miami Ohio somehow gets the victory, catching 8.5. I don't think that happens, but what do you think that line would be? 10, 11?
I think either way, the line's probably going to be between 8 and 11. The Tennessee got a great bottom half of that bracket. It is probably the weakest, set of 8 teams.
Tennessee State, Iowa State, Santa Clara, Kentucky, Wright State, Virginia, which is interesting. SMU and Miami, and of course Tennessee, and then of course in the upper top you got Michigan, Howard, UMBC, Georgia, St. Louis, Texas Tech, Akron, and Alabama and Hofstra. Go ahead.
It's very difficult for me being a Tennessee fan to say I like them coming out because I've seen what Rick Barnes has done in tournaments. I think they should get to the Sweet 16, but they could also lose the very opening round game. It just depends. It's going to depend on, which version of Nate Ament shows up, which version of Jacoby Gillespie shows up, how the officials, and that's what people have to really look at in these games. How are officials going to call the game? Tennessee's been used to playing in the SEC where the officials know them and they know they bang. They are one of the most physical teams around. You get into an NCAA tournament with, let's just say, AAC officials that are not used to the banging because maybe it doesn't happen as much in that conference, and they start calling little ticky-tack things that Tennessee's not used to seeing, then all of a sudden you get in foul trouble, and instead of having, Akpara and Estrella in the game, you've got freshman Brown from Hoover, and you've got Jalen Carey, who, big guy, but Jalen Carey, I watched him miss 3 shots in a row from, a half inch from the line, and he was 1 for 7 from the free throw line against Vandy in a game that Tennessee was in if they make free throws. So you've got to look at that and just kind of be on your toes and wonder. That being said, in my bracket, I got Tennessee in the Sweet 16.
By the way, you're talking about making calls in games. There was this guy who was he just looked like the most interesting man in the world. He looked like the Dos Equis guy, and he had all black on, and he kept walking up and past our thing. And I looked at Santo. I said, "Man, is that like the AAC commissioner, or who is that guy?" And we could not figure it. And then the next night he came down, and he had this beautiful suit on, and again, kind of older guy. So he's sitting down near the floor, and he had all access. And so I get down there and I said, "Man, me and my son you look familiar, blah, blah, blah. Don't mean to bother you, blah, 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 blah." It was a guy named, I don't know if you remember, Bob Delaney. Bob Delaney was a ref in the NBA for over 30 years. Also worked for the FBI, infiltrated the Chicago mob at one point, took down the Chicago mob. But he is now the director of the uniforms, the refs, if you will, for college basketball. Which I thought was really cool. So big hottie ho to Bob Delaney. And Bob was sitting down there, and he was one of those guys where you look at him, he looked right at, and he kind of pierced your face. And I was like, "Oh shit, am I bothering this guy?" Because the first thing I said was, "I don't mean to bother you." And he's like, and he didn't say anything. He just looked at me. I was like, "Uh-oh." And I said, because my son loves NBA. So big hi to Bob Delaney. All right, let's go through some of these games because we're all about the lines and handicaps. Just give me some initial thoughts. We could certainly change our minds because we have another show coming up on Friday. We're going to get after it. TCU, Ohio State giving up 2.5, 11-15 coming up on Thursday morning. What you got?
I mean, if I do anything in this game, I've got to take Ohio State. I think they're playing better. All of the offensive and defensive rankings and everything says Ohio State, which tells me to take TCU. But I like Ohio State in this matchup.
Trojan man! The Troy Trojans get in 22-11. They're catching 13.5 against the Cornhuskers of Nebraska. Nebraska, an interesting top type of team, Big Ten. No one's talking about the Cornhuskers. Nobody's talking. They've only lost 6 games all year long.
And they started 20-0. So
how about that, huh?
Yeah, they were the number 2 ranked Ken Palm team, offensively, defensively, overall adjusted rankings, and everything back in December. Oh, now they're 319. So on adjusted rankings,
why is that? What happened there? Just because of?
I mean, they've sucked. I mean, they've had 3 games where they scored below 60 points.
Yeah.
In all 3 losses, I don't know. They've never won an NCAA tournament game.
Isn't that crazy? When I heard that they have never ever Nebraska, a Big Ten school, formerly the Big 12. I mean, they've been in major conference plays. They have never won They've never won a tournament game ever. They'll win this tournament here.
0-8. If I play this game, I'm taking Troy plus the 12.5.
Nebraska 16-11 against the spread this year. Troy, a top 5, 18-12 against the spread. They did very, very well this year. South Florida, I mentioned them, and Louisville. I think this is going to be one of those games where I'm hoping people did not look at South Florida as well, but I love the Bulls plus 5.5. I think they went out right. I'll take money line on them. I just, having seen them live, I love the matchup. I love the 11-5. I just love everything about this game. I think they can slow, I think a lot of people are going to be looking at Louisville as that blue blood thing, but trust yourself and think to yourself, wait a minute, why is this line only 5.5? There's a reason for that. South Florida will win this basketball game.
100% agree with you.
Yeah. High Point, Wisconsin, you mentioned. High Point's only lost 4 games all season. Another kind of one of those 10-point games. You're thinking to yourself, boy, if this was a preseason game, or maybe one of these coaches versus classic things, Wisconsin would probably be like a 20-point favorite in it. No? And now they're only giving up 10.5. Why is that?
Just like, NCAA tournament, Wisconsin has not been playing as well as they were early in the season. High Point, like you said, only lost 4. They're playing really well. They average 90 points a game. They're averaging like 17 3-pointers or something like that a game, their last 10 games. First one to 90 probably wins in this game, like I talked about. I really would play the over. I think the only way now, it's possible because High Point's going to be going into a bigger arena to play in than they're used to seeing. And so maybe some of the shot selection or the shots taken because of depth perception changes some things. They're a 3-point shooting team. Wisconsin is a very good defensive team inside the 3-point line. They're not a great defensive team outside the 3-point line. They're 22 overall in defense in Ken Palm ratings, but against the 3, they're like 112th. So that's a big deal. So if I play this game, I'm going to take High Point, but more than likely I'm going to play over because High Point's defense is like 329 out of 365. So I do not like them to be able to stop Wisconsin at all.
Wisconsin 20-12 against the spread this year. It says High Point was 1-0 against the spread. I had to think there's more games that they actually had spreads on. I saw High Point more than once. So get it together, Scores and Odds. Get your shit together. Duke over Siena. Duke, of course, the number one overall seed. Caleb Foster out indefinitely, and now I'm hearing maybe he could come back. No, I'm not, and I know they're banged up not only once but twice. They lost another guy this past weekend, and I also saw Boozer the other day who went with 13 points in the first 10 minutes of the first half. All of a sudden he went off. Maybe he's finding himself a little bit. They're giving up 27.5 against Siena.
It's a game I'm probably not going to play. If I played it, I would take the dog just because I think Duke may rest some people and try to stay as healthy as they can. But it's just not a matchup that I see a clear distinction that says Duke's going to win by 30 or Siena's going to lose by 45. So if I play it, I probably go that way. But it's a game that I think you stay away from. You put Duke in your bracket because they're going to win the game, but I don't know that they're going to cover, close to 30.
Siena 17-9 against the spread. Interesting enough, they're playing the number one defensive team in all of college hoops. They were 7-19 over unders this year. So another sure sign that perhaps Siena will go under the 135.5. I'd have to think like that. And again, that's one of those games where it could be like a 90-50, something like that. It just barely goes over the total only because Duke puts up a 90 spot. McNeese State and Vanderbilt. Vandy looked really good in the conference tournament. Of course, they get the betterment of Tennessee, and they're sitting there 16th overall with only 8 losses. But McNeese State, a pretty good team, too. They're catching 11.5, a 5-loss team. McNeese State, can they trip up Vanderbilt?
I don't know if they can trip them up. Vandy's guard play with Miles and Tanner has just been very good. McNeese State plays pretty good defense, but they do give up a lot of threes. Again, that's one that I've got to be cautious about, but I'm probably gonna take the points before I lay the points. If I play that game, I think there's better games to play than that.
Tom Izzo, Mr. Final Four. He's been amazing. And they've had a very quiet, very good season this year, 25-7. They're giving up 16.5 to North Dakota. And again, Michigan State, that's one of those teams where you don't really want to go against Tom Izzo anytime during the year. But actually, they were actually under 500 against the spread, 15-17 against the number. Again, I usually don't do anything with Tom Izzo teams until about the Sweet 16, if he's still in, and he probably will be. But giving up 16.5 to North Dakota, you got a shot on that?
It's pretty funny because they're the number 9 team in KenPom. North Dakota State's 113, adjusted 93, and then 214. But their offense, believe it or not, in adjusted KenPom with strength ratings and everything is number 11 in the country. Whereas North Dakota State's 280. Izzo doesn't cover a lot, especially in tournament games. He just wins. So, I mean, if this game gets up above 18 or to 20, which it could in the next 2 days, especially if it gets to 20, I'm probably going to take North Dakota State. Otherwise, I'm going to lay off this game, put Michigan State as the winner, and move on.
Another guy who does not do really well in the first couple rounds, or he certainly didn't do well at Kentucky. But here comes Calipari, who just won the SEC. It wouldn't surprise me at all for Hawaii, the Rainbows, to give them a fight, getting 15.5 against Arkansas.
If they didn't have somebody named Darius Acuff on the team, I'd agree with you. Otherwise, I can't bet against Arkansas. I don't love it. I do think they could win by 20. They could also win by 2. I don't really think so. So we go into the blowout thoughts that we always talk about. Mm-hmm. So if I do anything with this team, I know that Hawaii played one of the worst schedules in the country. Their KenPom ranking is adjusted as 364 out of 366. Wow. So you can't get much worse than that. 277th on offense, and Arkansas has been playing very good defense. 191st on defense. That doesn't bode well for you against Arkansas. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay those points with Arkansas.
Could be a sneaky good game out of the South in Houston, Texas. North Carolina giving up 2.5 to VCU. I've got a friend of mine who's got a North Carolina room in his house. He would do anything for Michael Jordan, and yes, I mean anything for Michael Jordan. He's a Michael Jordan and NC guy. So North Carolina giving up 2.5. This is going to be one of those games where I would assume all the public's going to be in North Carolina, and they're probably on the wrong side.
I'm not public, but I am. But I like VCU. I think VCU has a legitimate chance if they win this game to move on. I like VCU in this game. Even if they were -2, I'd take them.
St. Mary's, A&M. Again, a pair of really good teams, 21-11. A&M is Mary's. St. Mary's only lost 5 games all year long. St. Mary's has given up 3.5 in this game. By the way, St. Mary's, an NCAA best, 26-5 against the spread. They were a covering machine this year, St. Mary's, including their 2 shots against Gonzaga. They're a really good basketball team.
I think the public is going to be all over Texas A&M. I think this line is going to drop. I think you're going to be closer to a pick 'em. Texas A&M may even be favored. St. Mary's has not seen buckyball, but St. Mary's doesn't turn the ball over. You know, the only thing that worries me a little bit is they haven't played against it. They haven't seen it as much as the SEC teams have that kind of caught up to Texas A&M in the second half of the season. But I'm on St. Mary's in this game all the way.
We only got about 7 or 8 more minutes here. We're going show to show tonight, so I'm going to skip a couple of these. Illinois, Penn, don't really care. St. Louis, Georgia. St. Louis, the Billikens, really good basketball team, and there's a reason why that Georgia. I also like the Billikens to knock off Georgia in the SEC. People are like, wait a minute, I thought the SEC was really good. They're in, but St. Louis is a really good basketball team. They got great guard play. They shoot the threes like lights out. They're unbelievable. They're only catching 2.5 against Georgia. There's a reason for that. The Zags 20.5 against Kennesaw State. Idaho and Houston 23.5. Any shot on that particular ball game before we go into Saturday or before we go into Friday?
Well, I go back and you got to check and see how Robbie Avila is for St. Louis. You know, he sat out, I think, 5 games with plantar fasciitis. If he's not back, if he's not 100%, I can't go against Georgia, although I think Georgia sucks on the road. 2 fast-paced teams. I mean, the total's 170. Good grief.
And I cannot tell you how painful plantar fasciitis is. It hurts tough. Like you've had it before. I had it a couple weeks ago, and I woke up in the middle of the night. And I was like, I thought someone had cut my foot off. I thought someone was doing Kathy Bates on me. I was like, what the hell's going on my leg? It was unbelievable. All right, let's look
I don't like either one of the other 2 games you talked to. We can skip on to Friday. We may have a play on it, but I seriously doubt it because those 20.5, 23.5 point lines, I just don't really like in NCAA tournament. If I did it, I would play the dogs and
chop 20 off that and go into Friday. And Kentucky's only giving up 3.5 against Santa Clara. Another game where a lot of people are like, wow, that just looks like a slam dunk win. Kentucky, right? 3.5. And that would be one of those games where if Kentucky does cover, you're like, damn it, why didn't I think Kentucky was finally going to get it together? But Santa Clara, a good basketball squad.
They are. And if I'm going to wait another day or 2 on this one, I would probably take under the 160.5. I think you're probably looking at an 80-75 game, but I'm not sure who's going to win yet. First reaction, when I wrote it down the first time, looking at a bracket, I put down Santa Clara. So,
yeah, the Long Island Sharks, they're getting the biggest nut, 30.5 against Arizona, who, by the way, is just lights out. A lot of people, they played here at the BJCC early in the season and blew Alabama out in the second half. Again, another huge line. If you have to play it, what would you go?
Long Island is 216th on Ken Palm. Arizona's second. Adjusted Arizona in every shape, form, or fashion. When you adjust it, Long Island's actually worse. 343 in defense, 333 in offense. The only way I play it is Arizona, but damn, laying 32 points. Good Lord.
I usually don't like laying the big points, but I am a Virginia fan, and I like the way they played. I thought they played a pretty decent ball game against Miami in the championship game. They're giving up Wright State. They're giving up 18.5. I'd like them by 20.
I'm opposite. I like Wright State.
Okay. All right. Iowa State, McNeese State, 24.5.
Iowa State, Tennessee State.
I'm sorry, Tennessee State. Yes, Iowa State and Tennessee State. What did I say?
You said McNeese State. If Tennessee State can handle the defensive pressure inside, I really like their guard play. Believe it or not, I think they stay inside 25 points. So I'm playing Tennessee State in that game.
A lot of local people here wondering about this Alabama squad. They were 14-18 against the spread. They were not a money-making machine, but Hofstra was. They were 19-11 against the spread. They played a really good style of basketball. Can they stay up with an Alabama Crimson Tide? Again, you live and die by the 3. We'll see if the Crimson Tide can get it done, but they're giving up 11.5. You take the Crimson Tide?
Hofstra's more of a slow it down kind of team. The fact that line's dropped 2.5 points, if I'm an Alabama fan, if I want that, since it's dropped from 14, I wait because the public may be like, oh, Holloway's gone. No, it gets under 10. If it gets under 10, you've got to play Alabama in this game. And as long as they don't let Hofstra slow it down, they'll run Hofstra out of the gym in the second half.
Another game, and I love these games so much because we have a lot of people that obviously are playing or gambling or doing their March Madness bracket. They're doing a bracket and they have no clue. And they go in and go, wait a minute. I thought Villanova was, didn't they win a national title? Aren't they pretty good? And they're playing Utah State. I even heard it. Did Utah State even have a basketball team? Why are they only giving up, or why are they catching 1.5? Oh, that line actually opened up. Utah State -1.5. It stayed there. They're actually favored to win this basketball game.
Well, Utah State's got more wins, got less losses, higher Ken Palm rankings in every single category. The eye test, yes, when you look at it, you see the names, you go, oh, Villanova, easy win. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm not going to play the game. If I did, I would take Utah State.
My son's in town for the week for spring break, and he's going to be watching his Clemson Tigers taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes. That line is Clemson catching 2.5. They've had a really nice season, only 10 losses in the year. Do they make it into the second weekend?
I like Clemson in this round. I don't know why. I can't give you the real reasons why. I just don't like this Iowa team. I think Clemson wins.
Sometimes it's just your gut that makes the payday that sweeter. St. John's, Northern Iowa, got a thought on that one?
Everything adjusted. I mean, it's very difficult to get away from St. John's in this game, especially the way they came back and the way they have played since getting annihilated by UConn, coming back, getting some wins, especially if it gets under 10. I like St. John's. I don't think you can take them up much above 16, but I don't think you're going to see a 6-point swing anyway. So I would go with St. John's. If I can get it at 10 right now, I'd jump on it.
Another sneaky good game, a pair of 11 lost teams. I like the Knights against UCLA. What are your thoughts? 5.5.
I want to know what Donovan Dent and Tyler Bladeau are going to do, if they're going to be 100% or not for UCLA, because if they are 100%, I really, really like this UCLA team. I understand with Central Florida, but I think this UCLA team, if they're healthy, has a legit shot at Sweet 16 for sure, maybe even Elite 8.
All right, 3 more games. We got to go. Purdue, Queens University, 25.5. I really wanted to get in this game because this is another one of those where if you're not a true fan, you're like, wait a minute, I thought Kansas was really good, and that Bill Selfie's a pretty good guy. Why are they only giving it 14.5 against California Baptist? What's
because
up with that
Dominique
line?
Daniels.
Yes.
Dominique Daniels from Cal Baptist. Watch out for him. He can single-handedly keep Cal Baptist in this game with his shooting. He's put up 40 a couple of times this year. Good kid. I mean, I don't know that Cal Baptist, the rest of their team, can hang with Kansas. But if I do anything, I'm taking them. And the other game you talk about, I'm taking Queens plus 25.5 against Purdue. I really, 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 really like Queens in that situation.
First time Queens has ever made March Madness, and that is what Cinderella is all about. Furman, UConn, and Missouri, Miami. Got any thoughts on those 2 games?
I don't like the way UConn is playing at all, but Furman is not really good. I would stay away from the game. If I played it, I would take the points. I wouldn't lay it, but that's what I would do. Missouri, Miami, of Florida. Missouri sucks on the road.
Yeah.
But listen to these adjusted ratings. And how do you get this matchup to work out like this? Missouri's 52, Miami's 31. That's regular ratings. Adjusted offense, defense, net, schedule, all of that. And Missouri's 341 and Miami is 340. I mean, you're right there.
That's right.
I can't remember Missouri's coach, and it's very difficult for me as a Tennessee fan to say I like anything about Missouri. But I like their coach. I just think he is extremely smart. Love what he has done this year. They're way better at home, but if I have to play it, I got to go with the SEC.
Plays all day, all night. K4Wins.com, 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 K4Wins.com. Check it and get to it many, many times. Check it out, and you can subscribe on there. We're going to have blogs on there, all kinds of great stuff. And, of course, Case Kiefer, live from Las Vegas. Kip Kiefer, his dad, who also is the executive director of Birmingham Racecourse Casino, will join us again coming up on Friday. We'll do another show at 10 o'clock as we get into the muck. It's going to be fun because we'll actually have some games going on, or right after the show. We'll have some games going on. It should be a hoot. Appreciate you, my man. Kai Gregory, K4Wins.com. Get after it. We'll talk on Friday. Thank you, man.
Enjoy.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.